Hello, hello, beautiful listeners. We have a fun, special, dare I even say sentimental episode happening this week because this week we're going to celebrate the fact that my business has been around for 10 years, officially, exactly on the day that this podcast is dropping. And it was too much of a alignment and kismet that it was all happening at the same time that I thought I want to share a bit about it. Here's what we're going to do in today's episode. We are going to have some quick reflections from me. I have not sat down and done my a deep story of the business reflection, which I will. That's part of the work of kind of taking stock of what have I really learned. But I want to share something a little more personal. So some of kind of the headlines of what I notice when I look back on the business. So just high level. And then I'm going to offer up a celebration meditation. So, this will be me inviting all of you into a space to stop and reflect. And I myself may very well use this meditation as my own jumping off point as I'm taking stock and thinking of all the things to celebrate of in this special milestone. Okay, so let's start with the reflections. And when I stepped back and I said to myself, well, like, gosh, like what am I celebrating? The first thing that emerges to me is and like that really jumps out are like the people. Yes, the organizations too, but when I think of the organizations I've partnered with, I immediately think of the people. And as I'm saying this, like quick backup, if you're like, I listen to the podcast, but what exactly does Point Road Studios do? So, Point Road Studios, coaching, leadership development, team coaching, core focus is around visioning. Might one even say designing yourself. So that it might come through direct one-to-one vision coaching, which helps individuals really see what they want, connect to their story, and see how do I move forward. I also work with organizations to say, what is the strategy and how do you get your team or teams aligned around that? How do you bring alignment between the visions of your people and the vision of the organization? So that's just high level coaching, leadership development, team development, making your visions happen. That's the kind of thing that I'm focusing on in Point Road Studios. And I can tell you it's taken a lot of different shapes and forms over the years. However, design yourself was the first tagline that I had on my very first business card back in 2013 because business was founded, but business cards didn't come till the next year. And who really cares anyway? Because how many of us are using business cards? Am I right? Um, but design yourself as a concept that how can you really bring a sense of intention into how you are walking through the world, and in particular in this place where we spend so much of our time, our professional lives, our workplaces. How do we bring a sense of purpose and alignment, delight and ease? That was there from the beginning, and that is absolutely still here today. So, like, I think of the people and I think of all the amazing things that my clients have accomplished and that I have gotten to be a steward of, which is incredible. And those are, gosh, I hold confidentiality for my clients, so I'm not going to be naming names, but just like to give a sense, I have seen clients um, go from professional consulting jobs and transition into wildly different careers. Anything from lifestyle consulting, having come from a very different corporate role. I've seen people start dog care businesses. So there's a lot of people that I've worked with who felt stuck in their careers and have gone on to really say, you know what, like what I'm doing isn't the thing that I want to keep doing, and I feel called to do something else. And I have seen them go on and do it, and it's incredible. And so I see that. Um, and then I've seen people, my husband, Colin, who's been on the podcast a few times and who's always in the background uh, doing all the audio engineering. Thank you, honey. uh, he used to joke. He's like, "Are you just like a coach who has people quit their jobs?" And let me be the very clear, no, because I also like am a huge advocate that where you are is like an amazing playground to learn and grow. And I have also worked with many teams and individuals on how do I grow as a human being and in my work and on this team, and how does the workplace become my playground to do that? And so, and things that I've seen organizations accomplish in that realm. And I'm thinking first of teams. It's like so fun to like hold this. I've seen teams go from a group of people who happen to work alongside one another, but kind of butt up against each other, a lot of resistance and drag. And I've seen them go to having more ease. It's not that there's never drag, but that they go into that they know how to deal with it. I've seen organizations and teams transition from very formal to being able to be vulnerable, let their guard down. And in the process, create more engagement. And yes, therefore, more productivity and higher impact in business results. I've seen organizations who are struggling to meet their debt ratio, get things back on track, like a financial crisis moment. I've seen teams move through tons of transition. And how do you sustain a sense of team in the middle of one transition after another transition after another transition? And wow, have I seen teams demonstrate and dig deep and develop then an even deeper sense of resilience, particularly in the last couple of years where we have all been so challenged in how we work and how we show up. And I've seen these organizations develop a deeper and deeper appreciation that yes, they can accomplish something greater working together, and and that they can be human beings while they do it. And that's, I mean, it's incredible. It's magical. It's lovely. So just a few of the things that when I'm thinking of teams and individuals who've been in transition. Oh, and then let me talk about individuals I've worked again, I'm like more people are popping into mind. Individuals who I've coached who have grown within the organizations where they are. So the focus has not been on the team or the broader context, but them in that context and their own growth. And I'm going to use a specific example because I just had the chance to talk with a chief operating officer who I coached many, many, many years ago. First half, when we talk about 10 years, like in the first 5 years, this is someone that I worked with. And he said to me, when we just reconnected for the first time in years. And he said, before we go, I just want to tell you that one thing that you shared with me, a tool that really has stuck with me and that I still use and that really has changed everything about the way I lead and run meetings is that now I only ask what questions. And just to quick teaching hat, what is this tool? What's this framing? When you start to break apart questions, what questions are expansive? What do you want? What's possible? What's your best thinking? Right? What questions open us up to something more? How questions move us to action, get into the process? Why questions are usually expansive questions or getting into action questions rooted in judgment. So my quick trick is one, listen for the kinds of questions that are being asked, that you are asking, that others are asking, and uh, notice for notice when you're asking questions of others, like what's the reaction you get. So if a team's really asking, how do we do this and how about that and how do we do this, and but it's unclear of like how to move, they're kind of stuck. Well, like what are we not asking ourselves? What perspective are we missing? Like there's a what that needs to be brought in. And if you're sitting in what for a really long time and are like, oh, I just feel so pie in the sky. I'm just missing something. Well, let's drop into how. Like, how do we make this grounded? How do we bring it to life? And so anyway, but back to this former client, it's just an example of he's gone on and he's now running an incredible team who is going to be at the forefront of being able to impact how we as a society think about mental health. So like really cool work. My clients are really amazing, cool, mission-driven people. Like it is a wonderful, wonderful thing to see like what they go on to do. And I look at the human being and I think, well, here's somebody who's deepened his emotional intelligence, who shifted the way that he approaches his role, and it's incredible. So anyway, then one last person that's coming to mind. There's so many. That's the cool thing about 10 years, which is why I will slow things down and stop and reflect. And by the way, this is all kicking off my year-long celebration of 10 years. I decided 10 years, like let's do it. So more coming on ways to celebrate. I hope you all will be able to join me in some celebrations for that. But another person who's jumping to mind, I've seen him go from being a rising, emerging talent in his Fortune 50 company, and by the way, one of my very first clients, my the in fact, I want to say, yeah, the very first coaching session as a coach in training was with this person. And I've seen him go from being an emerging high potential top talent Fortune 50 company to now disrupting the way that his industry looks at technology. And this is like around the globe. And the way he's partnering with like really big clients to think about how do we do things differently when it comes to things like energy and technology and distribution and how we communicate about it, and all with a very strong desire to serve. So how to stay in authenticity with yourself and your own leadership style and grow an enormous scope and responsibility and do it your own way. So, okay, I said it would be short. So I'm going to leave it at that and just say the people are like the very first thing that came to mind. And I and well, one more person. I shouldn't leave her out, should I? Me. Let me talk about me. I want to say that for me, I am so incredibly proud that I have been able to have a decade of my work life focused on stewarding people to bring their best selves into the work. And I really believe that if we do that, we will change the world. In fact, I believe that we already are. Like that's what gets me excited and gets me up in the morning. So I feel so proud that I've been able to do that and to shift my work life into having that, which has me in integrity with myself and what I feel called to bring out in the world. And at the same time, be able to have the kind of life outside of work that I want, that I have a beautiful home in the woods with my family, that we are able to connect with our community and our loved ones, that we get to cook beautiful meals. And yes, there's mess and and all kinds of things that are edgy. It's this is life. This is being human, and it's in a space. I'm in a space in my personal life and with beautiful people in my personal life, um, that make my life also feel full the way that I want my clients' lives to be full. Okay. And with that, let me move to close, and I'm going to take us through a meditation. So I'll put in the show notes, by the way, like a timestamp of here's where you can go listen to the meditation if you want to come back and do that. I know that sometimes we're in a space where we do want to come back and listen in. So you'll be able to do that and accelerate through. Unless, of course, you want to listen to the upfront again. You're welcome to do that too. Okay, so if you hear the squeaking of my chair, that is me getting myself, my body to physical center, which I always think is a nice place to be in when you want to reflect and meditate. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And at your own pace, let it out. And I'm going to take one more breath in. And as I breathe out, just letting it all go. And I want to invite you to really think about what brings a smile to your face. Consider what makes your hands feel buzzy. What's something that might make you want to jump up and down, laugh out loud? What are you celebrating in your life right now? What are you celebrating? Maybe what are you celebrating for yourself? Maybe you're thinking of something that you're celebrating with a team, with your family, with a group that you care about. What are you celebrating? And now I want you to think about your life over a span of time. For me, I might be thinking about the 10 years of leading at Point Road Studios. For you, you might be thinking about the last 5 years, maybe your professional life over the span of a few decades. Think about your life, a portion of your life, in a chunk. And if you're feeling like, what? Which chunk? Think about the last 10 years. Think with me. And as you breathe in and out, I want you to just sense your way into what are the chapters of this chunk of time? Where might you be able to say, well, here were breaks, here were transitions, here were shifts? And maybe you notice as you're thinking through that, what parts of that feel clear to you? What parts of that feel unclear? Always breathing in and letting out. And now I want to invite you to notice the perspective that you're taking on this chunk of time. Are you standing eye to eye with it? You're literally walking alongside it, in it, at the level of it. Are you holding it in your hand? Has it become smaller as you're holding the perspective? Are you looking down at it? Just notice without judgment, what was the perspective that you found yourself taking? And now, no matter where you are, it's not better or worse, but I want to invite you to go get up on the balcony such that you can look at the dance floor of this part of your life. What do you see from this vantage point? Are there any parts of what you're seeing that make you feel uncomfortable? Just breathe that in and let it out. Honor the discomfort. If there's any parts of it that you're really not proud of, bless and release. Honor that too. And now I want you to breathe back in that smile. And I want you to bring a lens to what you see in the whole of this chunk of time and ask yourself, what am I most proud of? What am I most proud of? What brings me joy? What lights me up? What were all the little things along the way that contributed to those beautiful moments that maybe felt bigger? What were the little parts that summed up to the whole? And breathing in back into the present, letting out at your own pace. And I want to invite you to come back to center on what am I celebrating? What am I celebrating? Feel it, embody it, be it. Okay. That, my beautiful, lovely, wonderful listeners, that is what I wanted to share with you today. So thank you for joining me in this celebration. More to come. Thank you for taking a breath with me and stepping into a meditation. And please know that if there is something that you want to celebrate from your own life, if you want to celebrate something about your own experience with Point Road, by all means, be in touch. You can contact me over through pointroadstudios.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, sometimes on Instagram. We'll see. Playing with that, seeing how I like it. Because that's the thing, 10 years in, still iterating, baby. Got to see what works, got to let go of what doesn't, got to try out new things. But I would love to hear from you, and that means a lot. And please know that wherever you are, whatever you are celebrating, whatever you are blessing and releasing, I'm here holding my deeply held belief that there is nothing stopping you. So go on ahead and get after whatever it is that you really want.